Hello guys, so today let's talk about factors to consider when renting in Ghana or West Africa. So there are three main factors to consider. We have income, your savings, and location. So for income, if you want to rent in Ghana, the first thing you have to consider is your income, your monthly income and annual income. So when I say monthly income, you know that many people, let's say they are just salary based workers. So they only take, let's use 2,000 Ghana cedis for our analysis. So if it is 2,000 Ghana cedis, that means the person's annual income is going to be about 24,000 Ghana cedis. But we have people who are also into businesses and they're also working. So they have other income. So their monthly income is, or their annual income is not just, it does not just constitute their salary, but it also constitutes the other money they make from their hustles and stuff. Then we have people who are also working and doing business, like myself. And what happens is that, so maybe this month I may not make money, maybe 1 month, 2 months, I may not make money. But at the end of the year, I have an income bracket that, let's say, every year, that is my annual income. So that is what we are going to use for the analysis. So for income, I will say that if you want to rent, I will say that your rent should not be more than 15% of your annual income. So let's say 2,000. If you are a salary earner, you earn about 2,000 Ghana cedis there, and you want to rent. The rental cost of your rental cost should be about 15% of your monthly income or your annual income. So your monthly income will be so that means, yeah, you shouldn't rent more than 300 Ghana cedis. So because your annual income is going to be 2,400 and 15% of that is going to be 3,600. So the reason is that if you make the 2,000 Ghana cedis and 60% so let's assume 60% goes into food and transport to workplace, which is 1,002. Then you spend about 400 Ghana, so making it 1,006 for home expenses and stuff. So now we are holding, so with this analysis, we are holding all other factors constant. So let's say your mom can rent for you, your dad can rent for you, and all those things, and your boyfriend, your girlfriend. We are holding all factors constant. So we are using your income for this analysis because those other factors is a zero point 0.5 probability or occurrence. So that is a 50-50. They can decide not to rent for you. So we are trying to use your income to make the analysis here. So when you spend 60% on your for transport and stuff, so let's say in all you are spending about 70% for in the month. So let's say 70% to 80%. Now you are going to save between 20 to 25%, which is 400 to 500 Ghana cedis. Now that means each year you can save only, so 400 times 12. That is, you can save 4,800 Ghana cedis. So we are now coming to the savings function, the second factor, which is the savings. So you are saving 400 Ghana cedis every single month. So as I said, that annual savings, which is 400 times 12, which will give you 4,800. If you do the calculation, you get to realize that you should not rent your annual rent should be maximum of 70%. Maximum of what? 70% of your annual savings. If not, you always get broke after you pay your rent every single year, or you always have to borrow to pay your rent, and that is bad. That is a sign, and you are on the track of poverty because you will just be living in cycles. So you pay your rent, you get broke, you have to borrow, pay your rent, pay those debts and the rest, and you'll always be broke, you'll always be stuck. So your savings, your annual savings. So I define savings. Savings in economics is defined as your income minus your consumption, Y minus C. But I define savings as your income, which is Y minus C times G. So it is our savings function is, if you are in Africa and Ghana, you understand what I'm saying, that your savings is always times God, not plus God. It's times God. Because if it is plus God, Charlie, you know see top. It is times God. So your savings, your annual savings. So if you save 400 Ghana cedis every single month, yes, your annual savings is going to be about 4,800. So out of that 4,800, which is your annual savings, then that 4,800, the highest your rental cost each month, the highest percentage should always be 70%, because you have to consider health. So we have some precautionary expenses like health family issues and all those things, they will all be coming in. So you have to balance this thing. So 70% of your annual savings is what should enter into renting, because you have to consider even bills and other stuffs. So then we can say that if I'm making 2,000 Ghana cedis every single month and my annual savings is 4,800, the highest I should rent per year is 3,600. Yes. So now let's come to location. So normally when we talk about location, you see, when people want to rent, normally what they consider is the location. Yes, it's very key. But I think location is the last thing we should consider. Yes, because you have to consider your income, you have to consider your savings, then you consider your location. And a location, I have three factors that influences your renting. So the first one has to do with, number one, the level of demand of housing in a geographical area. The second one has to do with, is the place a new site, is it a new town or it's an old town. The last one, that is what people always check, that is distance from your workplace or school. So as a young person, you are going to rent. So let me come from the second point, the new town, the old town, and the new site. So there are some places that are new town, like Ablekuma and the rest. These places are new towns. They just recently developed. Botwe, those places and the rest. Oyarifa, the Damfa, then kind of areas. Then new sites. So some places are new sites. So new sites, sometimes even the place people are built about, people are not really, really staying there. That's why we call them new sites. Yeah, so let's say Santor, the East Legon Hills, back there, the Santor, Nana Chrome, those kind of areas. So these places, they normally have houses and buildings that that was just completed or finished just recently. And see, from 2022 coming to 2024, building materials, the cost of building materials, electrical cables, iron rods, cement, they have been increasing at an average of 24 to 30% every three months. But highest is every 3 months. Prices increases from 24 to 30% almost every 3 months. So the price of a single room there, the least they'll give to is 400 to 500. You may think, Charlie, the landlords are trying to be too exotic, and Charlie, it's not like that. Charlie, the renter, the building cost, that's why they will be renting it for you like that. But if you go to old towns like Osu, Fadama, Dakuma, New Fadama, Abeka, the Bubuashi, the Kaneshi, the First Light, the Dansuman, and all those places. So then that is where we need to consider what is the level of demand for housing. So in Fadama, when I started renting, my first rent was, so I was receiving 450 Ghana cedis. I was working in Carbell, that is Promasidor. So my income was about 450 cedis a month, and I said I was paying 50 cedis every single month. Then it was moved from 50 to 80 cedis, then 200. So now let's see, in Fadama, I was able, that was 2018. I was able to rent 50 cedis. Currently, you can get a single room 100 cedis, let's say 150 or 200 Ghana cedis, single room, but you are going to get a compound house. Now, the same single room, let's say self-contained, do you know how much you will get it? You'll be getting 1,000 Ghana, 1,002. Chamber and hall, you can get chamber and hall self-contained, 800 Ghana cedis, 600 Ghana cedis, Abekan, Dakuma, those places, Bubuashi. These are all old towns. Compared to Osu, Nungwa, and those places, they'll be in Osu, chamber and hall is 4,000, 3,000, and the rest. Do you know why? Because there is high demand for housing in such areas. So you have to consider this thing. So you have to consider what is the rate or the level of demand for housing. If the rate or level of demand for housing is high, rental cost is going to be high in such areas. So when you consider places like Ablekuma renting is not that expensive, but you get to realize that the new buildings that people are putting it up. So in Ablekuma, you get single room 200 Ghana. There are also places you get single room around 400 Ghana, 500 Ghana. And when you consider, you get to realize that all those 500 Ghana, 600 Ghana single rooms, they are all new buildings that were just completed 2022, 2023, 2024. So the place is just about 3 years or 4 years old, something like that. So the renting is going to be high. So that is, you consider whether it is a new site, a new town, or an old town. And then that is where you have to consider, what is the rate or the level of demand for housing in the area. A moment the rate and level of demand for housing is high, the rental rate will be high. So I live in Kanda Estate here. In Kanda Estate here, the least single room you are going to get here is around 1,000 Ghana, because the house, there's no house here, or there's just family houses. So they will be renting their boys' quarters and things to you. Some price garage and the rest that they've renovated and the rest, and they are going to give you 2,000 too. Because Charlie, the demand for housing in these areas is high. So we have to consider those things. Then the last one is you have to consider the distancing from your workplace, and that is what mostly people always consider, that one, the distance from your workplace. But in considering distance from your workplace, sometimes people, you are working, you have in mind, Charlie, you want to stop that work you are doing, you want to stop, they are stressing you and things. So you have to also factor your change of job. And if in case there is a change of job and maybe you get a new, where are you likely to go and live? Where are you likely to go and work? So consider all those distance and stuff. So in considering a place to rent, always consider your income, your annual income. Consider your savings function. How much do you save? Your rent should not be more than 15% of your annual or monthly income. Your rent should not be more than 70% of your annual savings. In considering location, always consider whether the place is a new site, a new town, or an old town. And also make sure you analyze the level of demand for housing in the area. And the last one is the distance from your school, your workplace, or whatever that you are. If you're a student, distance from your school. If you're a worker, distance from your workplace. Thank you. So I'm an economist, and I am a market analyst and research analyst. We also have lands. I'm into real estate. We have lands we sell in a Abri, 70,000. We have 40,000. We have 45. In Pedriasi, Brekuso, 200,000, 160,000. Oyarifa, 400,000, and the rest. So I'm also into renovation of buildings and apartments. Thank you.